Good evening, everybody. I'll call to order the regular board meeting of the Board of Library Trustees for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. And Christy, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary Ann, would you call the roll?
Sure. Colada? Beachman?
Here.
Ford? Here. Hubbard? Here. Larson?
Here.
Russo?
Here.
Fasano? Here.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Number 4 on our agenda is comments from the audience. Is there anyone here or online who'd like to speak to the board tonight?
Yes, I have a comment about BATV, who is so graciously recording us this evening.
And coming out in the cold?
All of us. BATV is now a line item in the Batavia city budget. So there will be some support that will help the organization and allow upgrade to various pieces of equipment. So when you see some new stuff out on the football field, just thank the city.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Any other comments? Then moving on to number 5, approval of the agenda. Would someone like to make a motion to approve or amend the agenda?
I approve that we approve the agenda as is.
Second.
A motion by Trustee Fasano and a second by Trustee Hubbard. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the agenda is approved. Okay, number 6 is the approval of the consent agenda, and that has 4 items on it. The first is the November 19th, 2024 special board meeting minutes. This was the TITA hearing. The second item is November 19th, 2024, the regular board meeting minutes. The third item is the November 2024 expenditure report. And the last of the 4 items is December 2024, the expenditure report. Would someone like to make a motion to approve or pull anything from the consent agenda?
I motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
A second.
A motion by Trustee Larson and a second by Trustee Ford. Any discussion? Mary Ann, would you call the roll?
Colada? Beachman?
Yes, aye.
Ford? Aye. Hubbard?
Aye.
Larson?
Aye.
Russo?
Aye.
Fasano? Aye.
And the consent agenda is approved. Okay, number 7, our strategic plan.
So, after we met with Cindy Fessmeyer at the COW meeting this month, there were a few that was finalized, the vision, sorry, I'm turning to page 21 in your packet. The vision and mission statements were finalized, so our vision statement is engage, connect, grow. And our mission statement is it's not options to consider anymore.
Yeah, that was my main comment.
We are a welcoming place to gather, create, and learn by providing quality resources and experiences. And then there were some minor adjustments to some of the potential outcomes listed in the different strategic directions. We made sure that whenever we referred to the public or patrons, we said community, so there was uniformity there. That was one of the biggest changes, I think. And I think that's pretty much it. Otherwise, the goals remain the same, everything else remained the same. We just made some word changes to the potential outcomes. And now the next steps are implementation, and as I mentioned in my director's report, the management team worked with Amanda Standerfer on January 15th at our meeting to discuss the implementation of the plan. And the next steps are going to include creating different activities. We'll start with a huge list of activities that would apply to our strategic plan would apply to, and then we'll keep narrowing it down so that it's a manageable list and has the biggest impact. And then we will also develop an evaluation framework for those activities and how we report, our reporting tools, how I will report progress to the board, as well as how we communicate progress to the community and the staff. Yes?
I have 2 recommendations for words that you might want to reconsider. Page 22, under potential outcomes. It's actually page 7 of the second. The community increases, don't you want that to be an S, increases?
Okay.
Yep. And on the next page, under potential outcomes, the library building is renovated and maintained. That implies to me, and I think to a reader, that it is not maintained now, which is not correct, in my opinion.
So rather than is something like continues to be,
Pardon me?
rather than is the building continues to be renovated and maintained?
The
or-
building is renovated to more effectively meet yada, yada, yada. I don't think you need and maintained. I think that is an expectation that every library user and every community member should have. Yeah, they're going to maintain the building. You're never not going to maintain it.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, okay, I could be surprised. I could be surprised. Up to you. It just seems like do you really want to imply that?
Marianne, how would you feel, allotting for the situation where a building is not well maintained? What if it is renovated and continues to be maintained to more effectively meet?
Okay, yeah.
Because I think the emphasis is on not only renovating, but that we are constantly,
And we are.
that we are constantly trying to effectively meet current, that's what I see as the emphasis, is that we effectively meet current and future needs. And so I think what we mean when we say renovated and maintained, it's with that in mind, because the changes to the building, the needs of the community are going to change over time, so we want to be able to maintain, keep up with
Those
maintaining those.
needs. Yes.
Right, so I
Okay.
think that's why it's worded the way it is, but
Yeah.
I can see how that could be, I guess, misleading.
Yeah, to me, it is misleading. Would you repeat what you said, Daniel, please?
Sure. The library building is renovated and continues to be maintained to more effectively meet current and future needs.
I think that's a better reading.
You might get rid of the word more though if you do that. The library building is renovated and continues to be maintained to effectively meet.
Everybody good with that?
I am.
Good.
Yes, no, maybe?
So it's going to read, the library building is renovated and continues to be maintained to more effectively meet current and future needs. That's,
I don't know if you need the word more, but it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
I don't care.
okay,
That's something that doesn't need to be split.
yeah,
so.
no, I see what you're saying. Okay, so is renovated and continues to be maintained to effectively meet current and future needs. Okay.
More better.
Good, better, best.
When we approve the plan, will this then go on the website, or will people be able to see
You
it?
can approve it tonight.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, okay, yes. Once we have it, make those changes, then we will make this available on our website.
And I would just point out that the plan does say that the status of the plan and its implementation will be regularly reported to the board and community. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think everybody spent a lot of time on this. I think it's a really good idea to make sure that's on our website and prominently displayed.
Yeah.
And they'll do a graphic too, won't they, for the plan? Kind of a poster, one-page summary of the plan.
The whole plan will be on our website. What do you?
I thought the consultants do like a mini poster to,
Oh, I don't know.
make
I'll have to
people
ask.
aware of it.
I'm not sure about that. I'll ask her.
How are you going to monitor these potential outcomes?
We're still, that's something that we're gonna, management team and I will be working through. That's part of the evaluation, you know, how do we evaluate and then report? So we're still developing those type of tools.
just before before we vote, I would say that the library did a great job, the library staff, the people I worked with, who worked on the plan. There was a lot of enthusiasm, a tremendous amount of buy-in. It was very exciting to think that we can move forward. So I thought everybody did a great job, as well as the consultants and Joe picking out people and being a part of the process.
Yeah, it was a good experience for everybody, and the staff felt very much engaged in the process when we talked about, focused on strategic planning at our last staff development day. So everybody had a chance to talk about it extensively.
Other comments about it? Or would someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve this strategic plan as amended.
I will second that.
Motion by trustee Larson and a second by trustee Deachman. Any discussion? Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we now have a strategic plan for 2025 to 2027. Thank you. Number 8, the president's report and anything that the board would like to share. Does anybody have anything for the board?
I do. Friends of the Library, we haven't met since November. We'll be meeting Thursday. But I did get sent the Saturday and Wednesday sale for January, and they did $1,200. And this is followed by December, which again, and I think I mentioned, well, maybe I didn't. Anyway, they did $3,000 in December through the Wednesday sale, the vintage sale, the corner book sale, and the Saturday sale. So all in total, they now have $37,000.
Wow.
Yes. And somebody wrote, that's on the board of Friends of the Library, we're waiting for the library to send us their wish list. But I
On
will,
Thursday, we have some things to wish for.
okay, good.
So you said 1,200 in January and 3,000 in December?
Correct.
So where's the other 500? You said 3,700 or was it?
3,700.
That was in addition to the funds they already had.
Right, they had
Oh, okay.
35,000.
Oh,
and-
35,000.
But that included December, so
Got it.
January.
Okay, sorry.
Now it's 3,700. 37,000.
Got it.
Thank you, Christine. Anything else from members of the board? Then I just have one thing, especially for the people online. If it happens to be cold out ever, the library never closes. There's almost never. Even if the physical doors are closed, there's tutoring, online tutoring and homework help that you can get by checking out the web page. You can learn a new language by checking out the web page. There's local history resources and a ton of databases. So there's so much there. You do just have to go to the website and look at what's there. I think you'll be surprised. There's so much stuff. So In a sense, we never close.
That's right.
Moving on, number 9, directors and librarians reports.
Okay. So we have already discussed the strategic plan. After we do all of the departmental reports and my report, the library, or the board will go into closed session to review closed session minutes from the prior 6 months. There's only 1 month's worth of minutes you need to approve, and then decide whether to destroy or release. And then also you're going to be deciding on recordings of closed session minutes from 18 months prior, that we can destroy those recordings. Which is,
Do we have to go into closed session to
yes,
do that?
that's a requirement, twice a year we do this.
But we do it in close, we review the closed session during
You
closed
review them in closed session,
Okay.
make your decisions, and then you vote on
Sure.
what decision you made when we go back into
Sure.
open session. It's a very quick and painless.
No, I know that, I don't like to go to closed session unless we have to go to closed session.
Yeah,
So
this
I
is one of
keep
those
everything out.
requirements.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see, so another thing I have in the packet is an update on my, the goals that I put together at my annual evaluation back in June or July, whenever that was. And that is on pages 4 and 5 of your packet. So I had 4 different categories in my goals for fiscal year '25. One was the strategic plan, which the plan itself is complete, and now the implementation is the next phase, which will be going on for the next 3 years. The second big item on my goal list was our remodeling project, and in preparation for that, we've been working on a lot of collection management projects. We did a large-scale weeding project based on circulation stats, which is complete. And a deeper weeding project is underway, focusing on condition, relevance, and accuracy of information. We also have been assessing staff and public spaces. We've already made several changes, including an interactive play area and a interactive play area in the youth services department, and relocating the graphic novel collection. And I'm sure there are other projects that YS has been tackling, and there will be more in the future. This is all in preparation for the remodeling project, but it's also making the space, improving on the use of the space now, instead of just waiting to make big changes then. And then in the adult and teen services, we've made a lot of adjustments. We moved the teen space. We have done a lot of work in the local history room, moving all of the local history materials and into that room, so that it's not just the genealogy and some of the local history, so it's now all contained in that room. We've also done a lot of work in the quiet reading room by reorganizing the periodicals and opening up the space quite a bit. We moved the entire AV collection. It was kind of dispersed throughout the first floor, and we've consolidated it all into one area. That's one of the first things we did at the beginning of the fiscal year. It might have even been before July. So now the whole AV collection is all together. And then we expanded the new books area. So it used to be just one long row of new books, and mostly with the spines facing out, and we wanted to be able to have more face outs of the covers, and we wanted to be able to just put more books, new books on there, and keep them up a little bit longer to increase their circulation. So we divided the nonfiction and the fiction, and so now we doubled the amount of space for new books to be face out and spine out, but so we increased that, we doubled that size of that new book collection. And those are some of the highlights. There's been a lot of stuff we've been doing, but those are some of the big ones. Also, in terms of the remodeling project, we talked about allocating $5 million to special reserves by July of 2024. Our current, as of December 31st of 2024, the fund balance was $5,214,706 in special reserves. And we will be transferring we plan to transfer at least $750,000 at the end of June of this fiscal year. However, we also are in the throes of a roof replacement project, so that will come out of the special reserves. I don't have a end number for you about what that will cost. That's something we're going to talk about next month with BTC and go over their proposal of what the scope of the project.
Are they coming next month?
They're coming to the count meeting.
Okay. I got a few questions.
Okay.
It'll be a lot of money.
Yeah. So, but we'll still have probably close to $5 million even after the roof, I would think. So we're still in good shape. Let's see. And then the next thing on that list is collaborate with an architecture firm for remodeling. So the plan is we'll have a request for qualifications document prepared that will be presented to you at the March Cal meeting. And then after you've had a chance to review it and approve the RFQ, we will publish it in March, the end of March, with proposal review sometime in May. Then the third item on my goals list is about finances. One part was to develop a 5-year budget projection, which we have completed. We had PMA present to you, was that November, I think? No, Finance Committee meeting, December. They presented 3 scenarios, and it's right here, at the December Finance Committee meeting. And Don is actually going to review that one more time with you at the February Cal meeting, just to go over it again. And there were 3 different scenarios in those projections that we'll talk about. Comprehensive capital improvement study and detailed plan of action, which was completed in the fall by BTC, and as a result of that, we started the roof project, which is probably the biggest item on that on their list of capital improvements. And the latest assessment and proposed work will be discussed at the Cal meeting in February. Reorganize budget structures for clarity and transparency, scheduled as part of preparing for the fiscal year 26 budget. So John and I are going to rework the budget for fiscal year 26, kind of restructure it, reorganize it, and make it extremely user-friendly, so to speak. So that's on the books for this spring. We also need to update financial policies and the board bylaws. They are all very, very outdated, or they haven't been reviewed in many years. So in March and April, we'll be presenting, 1 month it'll be the financial policies, and then the other month it'll be the bylaws. I'm not sure in what order, but we want to make sure the bylaws are reviewed and updated, I think, before new board members are on the board, because I think it's better to do it with an experienced board than and then redesign financial reports for enhanced clarity. Don has streamlined existing reports for board meetings, as evidenced in your board packet today. And once the budget is reorganized for fiscal year 26, the working budget presented at board meetings will also be updated to reflect those changes, the adjustments that we're going to be making to how we present it. And then the last item on my list of goals was staff development and empowerment. A comprehensive professional, coming up with comprehensive professional development opportunities for staff. We sent 3 staff to PLA, and we sent 2 staff to ILA, and I don't think we've sent any staff to PLA in a long time, and we sent librarians, not managers, which was great. We also increased our staff development days from once per year to 4 times per year. And we are routinely offering support for training, networking, and professional growth to all staff. And then facilitate staff engagement in library-wide initiatives. I've created 4 active committees that are made up of staff from different departments, and different levels. So an assistant all the way up through myself can serve on these committees. So we have strategic planning committee, which now is going to be more of the management team as we work on implementation. We also have a collection management committee that meets monthly. Our statistics committee met monthly to come up with a comprehensive, streamlined method of recording our stats because we weren't doing that in the past. And so now it's accessible to all of us, and that's how we can pull the data we need to present to the board and to the public, et cetera, et cetera. So now the statistics committee just meets as needed to tweak things. And then we're starting a programming committee, which will be made up of staff from both adult services and youth services to meet on a monthly basis to just to talk about programming strategies, themes, working together and collaboratively as we plan and prepare programs for the future.
Is this for programs presented to the library, or is it?
It's programs that we put out for the public. So it's all the stuff that we list in the Batavia and et cetera, et cetera.
And
So
online?
it can be stuff that we are presenting ourselves, or if we hire a contracted performer or what have you, instructor to present. It's all those public-facing programs. And then we also have initiated a cross-training for staff across the service desks for CERC, youth, and adult and teen, so that we can cover for each other if necessary. And also it helps everyone to kind of get outside of their bubble and understand how all the different parts of the library machine work. And so far we've trained the full-time staff, I think, in those departments. Next, we're going to have the managers cross-train, and then the last piece will be the part-time staff to be cross-trained.
How does staff feel about that?
I think they're enjoying it, because I think there's really been a great opportunity for them to really understand what the other half is doing, And I think when they get a chance to fill in for somebody, it's kind of fun to get out of their usual routine and try something new. So, I mean, the training, they're not being trained to cover the desk for more than a couple of hours, but there's basic essentials that everybody needs to know in order to do so successfully. So that's it for my goals.
Actually, I might have run into a situation where somebody was cross-trained, but I'm not sure. I came into the library yesterday to pick up the package, and the inner set of doors wasn't closing. Snow, not much of it, all kinds of debris was just billowing in, because the outside door would close, but the inside door did not. And I mentioned it to a person at the desk, and she said, oh, she got a key, and she went and did whatever she was going to do, put the key in, tried the door, didn't work, tried something else, and she said, well, those don't work, I have somebody I can call. Okay. So was that cross-training, or did she know?
Well, I think normally circulation operates those secures
doors?
those
Okay.
doors, but they know that they can call facilities to give them a
Okay.
hand when they can't solve the problem themselves. I mean, part of the cross-training and just overall, in terms of this goal, is empowering the staff to be able to make those decisions.
Yep.
And, to feel like empowered to be a very vital part of
Yep.
decision-making and just making everything run smoothly. So
She did,
that's exactly how we want it to go.
exactly.
So anyway, so those are my goals.
Yep.
I would just want to say, you know, this was great. I know you pulled it together quickly for this 6-month report, but this is great for us all to take a look at what's been accomplished, and it is a lot that's been accomplished in the last 6 months.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, these were my goals, but it takes a village. So, I mean, it was the support of the staff and the management team to make all of this happen. So, thank you to all of you.
When did we hire you?
Sorry?
I'm sorry.
What did you say?
2030?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
When did we hire you, in 2030?
23?
20.
Year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago, 18 months ago.
Okay. You've
So-
done a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been busy. And I hear the managers like to remind me of how busy we've been. Okay, so next is, let's see. Oh, just a little update on our staff evaluations, which, you know, as of July 1st, we started doing annual evaluations, which we hadn't done for several years. And tied to the results of those evaluations is a merit raise of anywhere from 0 to 3%, depending on the results. So as of today, we have completed 25 annual evaluations, and they've just been an excellent opportunity for staff to discuss with their supervisors their performance, recognize achievements, and set goals for the upcoming year. And then when they get their next review, they will then look at the goals that they had set, and they can talk about progress and, you know, what they could do differently, new goals for the upcoming year, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it doesn't mean that they only talk once a year. This is, you know, there's always ongoing communication, but it's a good way to mark, you know, a year's time on their anniversary. So I think they've been going very well. Circulation has, of course, a bulk of these evaluations because they have the most staff. But so far, I think they're still holding on, so I think we're good. All right, the other thing is a year-end report on pages 6 and 7 of your packet. So this is kind of a look at highlighting some of our stats for calendar year 2024, so January 1st through December 31st. So we had over 189,000 library visits. Our circulation for the entire collection was over 500,000 items that circulated, with the majority being print, followed by e-media, followed by AV, and then other would include library of things and just, you know, things that don't fit into those other 3 categories. So that's our circulation. We issued 894 new library cards, and as of December of 2024, we have 14,804 library card holders, which is over 50%, you know, of the population. Almost 30,000 reference questions were answered in the last 12 months. We offered 828 programs between youth and adult and teen, with an overall attendance of 89,215. Now, that is including our virtual attendance as well as our in-person attendance. And these are both passive and non-passive. I don't know, what do we call the other one? Active. Thank you. The passive and the active programs that we offer. Study room usage, that gets a lot of use. We have the 4 rooms on this floor, and is there 1 study room downstairs? So 4,388 times those study rooms were used in the last 12 months. And our meeting rooms were booked by outside groups 255 times. Also, we made 164 home delivery visits. And the amount of books that went back and forth was a much bigger number, which I don't have recorded here, but we are starting to track that. We weren't tracking that data before, but we are starting now. So that is the stats for 2024, the highlights. And then the second page of this is kind of just because we're going to be putting this information on our website. So I thought it would be good to also include sort of budgetary revenue types of information for the general public. So of all the property tax collected in Batavia, 68.33% goes to the schools, 8.49% goes to the city, 6.23% goes to the park district, 5.28% goes to Waubonsie College, 5.11% goes to the King County Forest Preserve, and 5.01% goes to the library, with Batavia Township and Road District at 1.54%. So you can see there's the chart next to it where you can see the breakdown in a visual, and our slice is green. And then for the revenue, and I did not break, this is not by calendar year, I did it by fiscal year because that's how we do our everything here. So in fiscal year 24, our revenue was almost 5.5 million. And that includes property tax, which is 96% of our revenue, grants, which mostly is just our per capita grant, which is less than 1%. And then miscellaneous, which is fees or donations, et cetera, et cetera. Expenditures is about 5.437, and with the personnel being, of course, our largest budget item at 53.8%. Our collection, all the materials in our collection, including databases, so these are not just print materials, but our electronic materials as well. That's 11% of our total budget. And then our operating expenses, which includes programming as well as general operating things, is 10.2%. Equipment and technology is 1.3%. And then our special funds, including what we have in special reserves, is 23.7% of our overall expenditures.
So that's money set aside for a
Yeah.
building project,
Yeah,
basically, or
Yeah.
for the most part.
right.
Okay.
But those special funds also include our liability insurance, includes our IMRF fund. We have those
Oh.
special funds
Yeah,
that are separate from our library fund, which covers most of we also have the building fund, which is part of the special fund, and we do that special tax, 0.02% or whatever it is. We have to do that every year to fund that. So there's 5 or 6 funds that are separate from the library fund.
so IMRF isn't part of personnel?
Well, it is, but it's also a special fund, so here it's listed as a special fund.
Okay. So personnel includes salaries and insurance and all those kind of
Yes.
things too? Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Also, the FICA is a special fund.
Okay. So there's a lot of taxes, or, yeah, up and all that stuff goes in there. Okay.
Yeah.
11% for collection, if that's including all the media and everything, that doesn't seem like a lot.
Well, the guidelines by the state, I think, are 10 to 12% of your budget should go, is recommended to be, your goal.
Right.
So we would like to see that go up a little bit.
So I recall 4 years ago, 6 years ago, that was lower, and we slowly increased that to bring that up to
Okay.
on par with what the state
What
recommended.
was it, a few years back? Yeah.
I want to say it was below 10%. It might have been, I
And
don't
that's
remember.
very low.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember that at one of our meetings and when we were doing budgets, it's been a few years, but we recognized that it was lower than it should be, and we raised that up.
Yeah, and I think we may, for fiscal year 25, we might even see that already up to 12%. Certainly by fiscal year 26, it will be more than 11%. just, I mean, there's just a lot of new types
Mhm.
of
Right.
materials to try and to add, et cetera, so it changes all the time.
Sure.
Do
Okay,
you
so
know
that,
how much that is?
I'm sorry?
At 11%, do you know how much that is?
Well, if you look at
$500 million.
the, let's see, go to
This is 1% of
page,
5 million.
Oh, you're right.
5.5 million.
go
so-
to the working budget on page 42. And you will see, so the approved budget is the first column after the fund information. So for materials, actually on page 43, our total material expenses that we budgeted for was 546,800.
Okay.
Which is actually 10.1%.
Thank you. You're right. Thank you.
Say that again, how much was that?
546,800.
That sounds like more when you are looking at it in this perspective versus the 11% perspective.
Yes. And so far, we have spent a little less than half of that. We're at about 40% of the total budget. Then if you go to our personnel expenses, we budgeted $2,927,000. So far, we've spent $1,267,442. So that's 43% of what we budgeted. So we're under.
Yep.
And that just means that we'll have more to transfer to special reserves at the end of this fiscal year because we're under on those budget, those different funds. Does that make sense? Okay. And then if you go to the operating expenses, we are 563,600 was what we budgeted for, and we have spent 201,107. So that's on about 36%. So you'll see in operating expenses, it includes our supplies as well as our program supplies and our programs, presentations, et cetera. It also includes advertising, promotional services, professional services, legal fees, et cetera. Lots of things are in the what we categorize as operating expenses. I would like to pull our program budget out and make it a separate entity, so to speak, and not have it under operating expenses. And because I think I just think this is how I did it at Lincoln Wood, and it worked really well for the staff because the programming collections, such a bulk of what we do, that pull it out because operating expenses are going to be more of the nitty gritty and not the public facing, if that makes sense. So that's one of the things that we're thinking about doing for fiscal year 26. It doesn't change any of the numbers, it's just
No,
how
it
we
doesn't.
organize it.
Gives you a better way of looking, an easier way to see.
Because we want to be able to pull information from this budget very easily, and so that it makes sense in terms of how we function and how we work. And I think pulling those programming numbers out would make sense, would be good.
Yep.
And then for equipment and technology, we budgeted 73,000. We've only spent 17,000 so far. I mean, but also remember, we still have 6 months left. So even though we're under on some of these things, like with our collection, we're under. Some of the items are not a monthly purchase. Sometimes it's an annual purchase. Sometimes it's a quarterly thing. So we aim to be no more than 50% at the end of December, and we're below that, which is fine, which is good. I'm not concerned if we're under, like in technology, we're quite under. But that doesn't mean that we are over budgeting. Does that make sense? Because these expenses sometimes are not routine, the way other expenses like collection stuff is. Okay. Let's see, so then if you look on page 44, it'll tell you the total all fund expenses is $5,437,281. And so far this year, as of December 31st, we have spent just under 2 million. So we're at 36% of our total budget. And then right below that, you'll see where those special funds are listed, Andrew. The IMRF, the FICA,
Yep.
our maintenance fund, liability insurance, audit fund. And then below that is our, further down is where the special reserve fund is. And we have a working cash fund, which Don will have to explain that to you better than I can, and our development fund, which I've never understood, but there, that's something that we can go over at the Cal meeting in February when we're talking about the
Great,
different
thanks.
projections. Any questions?
A comment,
Seems pretty efficient.
it's really great to see those statistics that the library is being used well. And I think that's important that we share with the public that their investment in the library is being used by lots of people. Even, the number of library visits as people are looking to downtown areas as a place to go. The library is really a force for bringing people down here. Almost 200,000 people, and I'm sure that number is going to keep growing. So thank you for putting this together, and that's a nice story to share with the public.
Well, as you can see on the last page of your packet for the stats for November and December, our circulation this time last year, at the end of December of last year, from July through December of 2024, circulation was at 243,212. Do you see that? It's on page 45 under circulation and use, total circulation, and then the fourth data column. And then this year, it's on 20,000 more. So we're up 8% already just in circulation from this year compared to last year for those 6 months from July through December. So that's great. That's a good increase. Some of these numbers are going to look skewed because I combine November and December together. So just keep that in mind. So when you see percentage change, like 284%, that's because we have 2 months combined. So anyway, what other, also library visitors is up 29%. From July through December of fiscal year '24, we had 73,298 library visitors. And in this year, fiscal year '25, we've had 94,909. So we already are about 20,000 more visits than we were the last year. And we will get a huge, that'll really balloon in the summer with summer reading and, spring or summer break and all that kind of stuff, so.
The numbers that you provided on the 2024 year-end report, it appears from that and from this breakdown that this is a pretty huge increase over the previous year. Would that be true?
Well, I think, yeah, I would say we have had an increase, but I think, it's taken a while to crawl out of COVID. So, those numbers are going to keep, I don't know what our numbers were before COVID. I think it would be really interesting to look at stats from, 2018 and compare them to now, which I could, pull that information together. So I don't know if we're now back to where we were before the pandemic.
Normal?
Yeah, or if we actually are, increasing even from what our numbers were in 2018. I don't know the answer to that. Stephanie does.
You were looking at me.
Oh, I thought you were like, I know.
I don't know off the top of my head. I think we're getting up to the point that we were pre-pandemic, but Sherry's been working real hard on stats, and at the bottom of our spreadsheet, it does have years and years backwards on a month-to-month comparison, so that's easy data for you to pull.
Okay. Yeah.
What did she say? I'm sorry. I can't hear with the mask.
Oh, sorry.
No, I understand.
She was just saying that it would be easy for me to collect the data that we
Gotcha.
need to be able to make that comparison, and that our numbers are, every year it gets higher and higher and closer to pre-pandemic numbers. So I don't know that we've surpassed those pre-pandemic numbers, but it's good to see that they continue to climb.
Coming back.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I guess that's all I really wanted to highlight. Well, actually, no. On page 45, I also want to point out, in November and December of 2024, so this past, we had 126 programs and over 3,000 attendees. And so far, this fiscal year, we've had 531 programs with over 10,000 people attending. And one other thing to point out is we didn't track family programs and family program attendance separately before, but we are now. So we don't have a lot of data before before this fiscal year to compare it to. But we've separated that as a new group to track separately.
Where did we put 10,000 attendees?
Well, some of that's going to still be virtual, but we just pack them in.
Oh, okay.
And that includes our passive programs.
Of course.
So we've increased our passive programs considerably. Because people have been asking for them, they enjoy them, we're getting a lot of positive feedback, so that also is adding to that number. So, and our database sessions are up 25% from where they were last year at this time. So, okay, that's it for stats. I still have a couple of things left to talk about. One is, I pulled this together today because Molly usually does it and I completely forgot. So it didn't make it in the packet. But in November and December, we were very busy receiving very generous donations to the library. A total of $5,875 between November and December. Many of them were in memory of Esther Flodstrom. And then there were a few there were also some that were in honor of Ruth Coyne. And then there were some that were just like the Homestead, they donated $300 in appreciation for the delivery service that we provide to them. It's their Homestead residential council. And then we also, just some individual donations, like Maureen Jakubowski. She made a $1,000 donation.
A former board member.
Oh, well, there you go.
And former kindergarten teacher.
Okay. So anyway, so this is the activity that we had, and as we always do, a written letter of thanks goes to each of these people who donate money, no matter how big or how small. They always get recognized by the library. December and January staff updates. We've only had, our newest employee is Allison Schwartz. She is a part-time circulation assistant who started in December. Yes, she did. I can't believe I didn't put Molly on here. Oh my gosh, I just realized that. Our departures was, of course,
You're in denial.
Our dear Molly. I'm in denial. So Molly is our only departure, no status changes, and then we've had quite a few anniversaries. Lauren Brown, 7 years. She's now full-time in tech. She used to be split between tech and cert, but she's been with the library 7 years. Laura James is our part-time adult and teen services librarian. She's been here for 12 years. Megan O'Keefe, our ATS manager, has completed 1 year and she's still here, so that's great. Felix in facilities, 9 years. Kristen Schultz, Adult and Teen Services Librarian, 5 years. And Liesel also completed her 1-year mark, and she's still here, so we're happy about that.
All right.
Our upcoming board meetings is Thursday, February 6th is the Committee of the Whole, where Don will talk a little bit more about those long-range plans for money. And then with the thing that PMA put together. And then we'll also talk about, or we'll talk with BTC, oh, I forget his name, but the guy from BTC will come and talk about the roof project at the Cal meeting. And then the regular board meeting is on February 18th. And that's all I have.
It's a lot.
It wasn't, long, sorry. And now we will turn it over to, who's next? Who's in the we're gonna turn it over to Megan, Adult and Teen Services,
All right.
followed by Lisa.
So we had the year close out really strongly for ATS, which was nice. If you are interested in kind of a breakdown of the programs, I do, like the program types of attendance, I do break them down between in-person, passive programs, and virtual, so that might give you a sense of kind of how those big numbers look. So we had a lot of people come to programs in November especially. We had 468 people attended 27 in-person programs in November. 259 people attended 13 programs in December, because with the holidays there's certain ones that just kind of skip a month and we just didn't plan as much. We had 3 passive programs in November with 288 people completing those, and we did 6 passive programs in December with 271 people completing those. And then we had 1 virtual program in November that 18 people attended, and 2 virtual programs in December that 10 people attended. And this fiscal year's virtual numbers are far more accurate than past, because at one point in time, social media was factoring in, which I think made sense to do during the pandemic, but then as things got a little more back to normal, we're doing the numbers differently to, I think, have it be a more accurate representation of what's really going on. We had 254 items delivered to 56 patrons during 12 visits to senior facilities in November, and 273 items delivered to 75 patrons during 12 visits to senior facilities in December. Our teen librarian, Mallory Manning, had 2 outreach visits to Batavia High School. She had one that was set up in coordination with the high school librarian, and she interacted with 48 students during that visit. And then she attended the BHS Pride Fest, which had 58 students come to our table. So that was a nice month to be able to really connect with our teen audience. Winter Reading Challenge is going very well. We've already surpassed last year's numbers. Our registration is up 35%. Completion rates are up 17%. Number of active readers is up 49%. And we haven't quite hit the total of for the number of books read, but we still have a fair amount this month, so people have time to catch up. And if anyone has not yet signed up for winter reading, you can go backwards and count anything you finished since December 16th, so I encourage you to do so. We also finished our first month of the Community Make project, which is when we put something out for patrons to collaborate on and then have it go towards something in the community. So we had people making winter hats with our loom. And so people were able to do either just one row at a time and work on it for a short burst, or they could sit there for hours, which I know at least one patron did. She told me she kind of went into a knitting trance. So we were able to, Laura James, our librarian, was able to bring a donation of 4 hats that were completed this month to the Batavia Interfaith Clothes Closet. And that would have taken at least 50 rounds of loom knitting. So patrons were really enjoying doing that. And we also had, with finals week in December, we've been doing something. We did it in the spring semester and we did it in the winter semester now. For the students, where we have an exam cram, and we basically just have one of the rooms in the founder's room set up with snacks, but they can also get their own food brought in, and they can just have a break from studying and hang out. And we just do a head count every hour, so this number is probably undercounted, but we had at least 60 students take advantage of it. So it's nice to see them enjoying a space that's set up kind of just for them. I think they feel very cool getting to have it just be their own space for a little bit. So that's always kind of fun to see. We of course finished the reading room refresh during those last 2 months. We've gotten a ton of comments from patrons on how cozy it is and how much they like it, so that's been fun. And we've been working on a big shifting project, mainly with our friends in circulation, really helping us get the shelves situated really nicely now that we've completed a huge phase of that weeding project. We want the books on the shelves to be really accessible to browse and take things off, and for the pages to be able to get things and have it be really nice looking and safe for everyone to access and easy for them too. So things have been going very well.
Megan, for people who don't know, would you explain passive programs?
Sure. So those are activities that people do in the library often. Sometimes it's something you can take at home and do, take and make kits. Often though it's things we set up to do here, so that might be at the Maker Zone table, we'll have a set craft set up where we organize the supplies, have instructions, but you can do it on your own time. Sometimes it's when we just have coloring sheets out there. Sometimes I know in youth it would be things like vote on this and you put things in a certain bucket, or you do a scavenger hunt around the spaces. So it can be a lot of varied types of activities, but it's something so that you can enjoy the library space but kind of do it on your own time whenever you visit, and just make it really welcoming and enjoyable to spend the time that you have at the library.
Does that include crosswords, or no, the
Jigsaw?
puzzles?
It does include puzzles. We don't currently track puzzle usage just because we haven't figured out a way to do that. So those numbers are not counted in here, but yes, we always have puzzles out, and we do want to start tracking that because we know people really enjoy doing them here. Yeah.
So passive versus active is whether the librarians are working directly with the patrons during the activity the whole time, right?
Yeah, and
So
also
it's a-
like active programs often have like it's on this day at this time. Passive
Sure.
programs can, it's here for you to do at your own time. So it's a
Okay.
convenience factor, I think, for a lot of people too.
Okay.
What is loom knitting?
So I wish I had brought them in here today, but it's really just a plastic circle hoop, and it has these prongs on it, and you just take the yarn and you wrap it around
So in a
one
certain
way, and then you do a
knit
double loop, and then you kind of go up and down through it, which that was a terrible description of how to do it. It's a lot easier than that sounded. So you don't need to have any previous training, and it's near the reference desk, so if anyone has never done it before and doesn't know how, we can quickly show you how to do a couple loops, and then you're off to the races.
If I should so be inspired.
Yes, you can head right out there after the meeting, and anyone out there can help you.
Do you
There's
provide the yarn?
books on loom knitting. I mean, you can do more than hats. You
Yeah.
can make scarves, you can make socks, and mittens. I mean, you can make anything out of it.
Will you continue that all year round?
We won't necessarily have that same loom knitting. Well, I'm sure we'll bring them out and back, but yeah, we're always gonna have activities at the maker table. It's one of those things where we're kind of gearing up as we continue to build our maker zone, get more and more equipment, and get people more used to kind of crafting and doing projects like that at the library. Community make projects I think we'll do throughout the year. We won't necessarily have one every month. If we have a great idea, we'd love to do it every month, but I think, since it's new, it might take time for us to have something always running, but we're going to do them regularly.
Thank you, Megan.
Got stiff sitting still, so it's gonna stand up. Wow, I was exhausted just putting all this together. I forgot just how much we did in November and December. I will just kind of give you some highlights because I know you all can read. And as I always say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So at the very bottom there, once again, going back to Sensory Play. Sensory Playtime is one of our more popular programs for that really young age group, and you can really get a sense of the destruction in that lower left-hand corner picture. So while we do clean up after ourselves, we're always very grateful to our facility staff too for graciously helping us when we need a mop or an extra vacuum as well. But we're really working a lot with like fine motor skills and things. So there is a method behind the madness, as it were. It's not just making a mess. Kids are learning how to use those fine motor skills, those gross motor skills, and just kind of cause and effect sort of things as well, while having fun. A couple of other highlights from November, December. Amy Marks had a stuffed animal sleepover and story time, so that was a lot of fun. Basically, kids brought their stuffed animal friends and dropped them off, which if you have ever had a young child with a favorite stuffed animal can be a little traumatic, so parting with them for the night is a big thing. But she had a lot of fun posing them basically in different things around the library, and then the kids came back the next day for a story time. There were donuts, and they got to see what their stuffed animal friends had been up to, whether it was checking out books at circulation or just getting into some trouble. So it was a lot of fun, and I know circulation especially fielded a lot of really positive comments about the event. And it was a lot of fun to see a lot of different caregivers. You can see in one of those pictures, we've got some dads there, which is awesome. We love when dads come to programs, and sometimes work schedules are a little challenging, so it's fun when they can come with their kiddos as well. We tried some new programs in November and December. One of those was International Taste Testers. One of our library assistants has put this program together, and they tried a lot of candy, which, you know, hard to go wrong with a program like that. But again, there was a method to it. They not only rated it, but they had to guess what country it came from. They did some trivia, and then waste not, want not. Even if they didn't like the candy, they crafted with it. So nothing went in the trash. We also tried a Saturday morning program called Last Minute Gifts. So if you think back maybe to elementary days or your kids' elementary days where they were so proud to make something on their own and then put it in a bag and decorate it, that was kind of the idea of that program. And it was a lot of fun. We did it as a family program with a couple of different stations, and the kids really had a blast. And we're trying more and more to have some of these evening and weekend programs to address needs of working families being able to participate in things. So we're hoping to make that an annual thing. Art Adventures, I know I've reported on before, continues to be a very popular program. Mary Podrasky really gets a shout out for that one. The kids learn about a new artist and an art technique every month, and they're really having a lot of fun. It routinely fills. I think she could probably offer it twice and it would probably fill. And it's really fun because we're getting that early elementary age in, and they're getting that art exposure. So a lot of fun. But I think my favorite program so far has been our Middle School After Dark program. This is an annual after hours middle school program that predates my start here. But this year we decided to go big or go home, and we hired Golden Gun Laser Tag to come in, and we had laser tag after hours at the library. And we had 48 middle school girls and boys. That is a lot of energy in the library, I can tell you for sure. But they, again, there was a method to it. They had to work cooperatively and strategically to make sure that they won their round. So it was a lot of fun. We only had, one run into the corner of a bookshelf, which I considered a win for how much energy was out there. You could tell that the pictures are not fabulous. They were moving far too fast for my poor little Pixel camera to take very good pictures. But they had a real blast, and I think we showed them that the library can be a fun place. And so we're hoping to continue that. I'm just going to have a hard time topping laser tag at the library next year. And we want to make sure that we keep it fresh. And a shout out to Adult and Teen Services for graciously letting us use their space, because our shelves are far too low, and laser tag when you can see your opponent coming is not so fun. So a lot of fun with that one. We participated in the Holiday Stories at Celebration of Lights again this year. That's an annual Park District event. We shared some holiday stories at the Depot Museum. Again, that's something we've done for quite a while now, and we worked with a variety of agencies, the fire department, the police department, Batavia Mothers Club. We had two lovely trustees from the library here that came and read, and of course the mayor and Mrs. Schilke rounded out everything with reading the Twas the Night Before Christmas at the end. So thank you to the Park District for graciously inviting us to participate again this year. And then, as we always do over breaks, we always have some fun for the kids to do. We learned the hard way that the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, everybody's looking for something to do. The Friday after, when I thought we would be super busy, not so much interest. So next year we'll plan nothing, and then they'll probably all want something. But we keep trying, and we'll keep those stats and things like that. We've had a lot of luck with borrowing some hands-on exhibits from the DePage Children's Museum. And again, that's one of those sort of passive activities. Put it out for the weekend, and they can kind of come and go as they please. So a lot of fun with that. We talked about passive programs earlier. those really change every month. As Megan mentioned, we've done some scavenger hunts. A lot of times we do some what I call kind of lift the flap activities where you're really trying, it's got a learning component to it. But we also have some fun too. Like in December, we had a gingerbread scavenger hunt. So you started out with the outline of a gingerbread man, and then you had to kind of go around and find the different stations, and each station had a part, whether it was buttons or eyes or what have you. So we try to mix it up and address the needs of varying ages, and it's always fun to see what the adults come up with too. We had a turkey scavenger hunt in November, and we had pictures of turkeys disguised as various things, and then their prize at the end, instead of it being one more thing that you take home and end up in the trash, we had them color a sheet that said, "I'm not a turkey, I'm a," insert word here, and the kids had a lot of fun coming up with different things. I think my favorite was he was a moose, and there were so many, and even some of the grown-ups got in on it, so it was kind of fun to see what they came up with. And then, as always, we have a lot of fun with dramatic play. So November was post office, and December was the bakery. So we've got a lot of things going on right now. This month it's been construction, so we've had a lot of fun, and I think what's been the most fun about dramatic play is not only watching the kids, but seeing the grown-ups actively participating with their kids. We're seeing a lot less like I'm on my phone, and a lot more like let's build something together or do something, let me be the customer. And so it's fun to see that kind of give and take going on. I know Josephine mentioned earlier, we've been cross-training, so there's a lovely picture there of our friends from Circulation who came to cross-train in youth services, and we're going to be working through that even more in the coming months. And we're continuing to do outreach, and I think my proud moments this past 2 months was I went to Kitty Academy, which I've been doing every other month, and I came back and I was on the desk and I had a mom come in and say, "You don't know, but you're famous." I'm like, "What?" And she's got a little girl in tow with her, and she said, "Well, you know, you came to Kitty Academy and my daughter was so excited. She loved that book you read that she insisted we come to the library to check it out." And I'm like, thank goodness it was still here. But they were so excited to go home with it. So it's just one of those anecdotal things that we can see our visits are making a difference. So, any questions?
I think you have a really good time doing this.
I do. How can you tell? I love my job. I really do. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Well, we're at number 10 in our agenda, which is adjourning to closed session.
Oh,
It will be fast.
So we need a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
yes.
But as usual, we're just doing one thing when we come out of the session, and then we're adjourning, so if people don't want to stay.
I move that we go into closed session.
I second.
Motion by trustee Hubbard and a second by trustee Fasano. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we will start our closed session in a couple minutes.
Progress.
Oh, thank you, Megan.
Okay. All motion that we reconvene open session.
It is 15.
So we're reconvening the open session at 7:55.
Okay.
Do we need a roll call again?
No.
Okay.
So I make a motion. We move to approve the closed session minutes from June 18th, 2024, that they remain closed, and to destroy the closed session recordings from January 12th, 2023 through April 22nd, 2023.
Second.
So a motion by trustee Ford and a second by trustee Hubbard. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So the motion has been approved, and I will make the motion that we adjourn.
I will second.
Second by trustee Fasano, motion by trustee Russo. Any discussion? We don't have to do. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.